Hey YouTube, this is Sean with Griffin RC Planes. Today is going to be part 2 of the Tower Hobbies Uproar version 2 build. What I hope to get done today is reinforce, glue a lot of the fuselage and some of the wings. Like I talked about earlier, more glue is better than not enough glue. And get all the hinges glued for the control surfaces, and then we'll see how much time we have to go farther than that. But let me get set up, get things on the work table here, and let's begin.
Alright guys, part one. What we're going to do is a little two-part epoxy to strengthen up the fuselage. Let me show you my little setup here. This is a baby bottle warmer, and I find that great to warm up the two-part epoxy. I find that it pours smoother when it's warm, and you can always run it under some hot water for a little while. It just seems to work a little better for me. Then I've got some rubbing alcohol and a little squeeze bottle, couple slices of paper towels for cleanup, a couple little brushes to paint the epoxy around, and some mixing sticks, and a couple little squares of construction paper to mix on. That's what we need so far. All right. This area right here is where some servos go and your receiver and so forth, and then these two screws down here will be what holds the wing to the fuselage. So down in here, some of this is plywood, some of it's balsa. Looks more like ply to me. But I'm just going to put some glue in some of these joints here just to strengthen it up, man. A little peace of mind. That's all it is. And just makes me feel a little bit better. You just never know how long it's been since this stuff was glued, and but look how runny that came out right there. You mix two parts 50-50. If you're off a little bit and it's whatever, 40-60 or 45-55, it's okay. If you're going to get any more than one of the others, if you get more hardener, it would dry a whole lot faster. If you get more of the resin, it would not dry as fast. Mix it up like that. This is a 6-minute epoxy. That's why I didn't mix much, because we probably won't use it all. All right, you want to be careful not to get any on this film here. If you do, rubbing alcohol and a paper towel will clean it up. But just put some where the wood's connected. Buys just a little insurance, Obviously, these things are assembled overseas, and who knows how long ago it was put together, and the right conditions could, maybe the glue wouldn't dry as good or what have you. So whatever you can reach, go ahead and put a little bit more in there. And when we start to cut some of this film away, for example here for the wing tube and so forth, then we'll expose a little bit more wood, and then we could possibly do a little bit more of this a little bit of this more peace of mind gluing. Doesn't take much, And you have to mix up several batches here and there. We just add a little glue to all the parts where glue is supposed to be.
All right, well, let's flip it over now and see what we can reach in this access. We'll be able to get the firewall and the battery tray. I noticed that this battery tray has a couple screws holding it in, so we won't get any glue close to it right now. So let's mainly get the firewall. You can see that put a couple sticks, got on like 45-degree angles right there. We're going to add a little bit extra to that. I've actually seen one of these firewalls come off before. I don't know if it's just, you know, after they get to be a certain age, the glue gets weak, or just all the torque from the motors. And so it's not a bad idea to do what we're doing here. Come on, everybody. All right. And this being you know, 5-minute epoxy, within 5 or 10 minutes we can work with it. You know, it'll be dry. If we want to drill holes or whatever, we can. I could have mixed up a little bigger batch. There's a whole lot more accessible. You know, I was mixing up the small batches because it was starting to dry on my mixing board before I, you know, got it to where I needed it and stuff. There's a lot of places that are accessible right here. Some of these angles are hard to get to. You know, I've taken these brushes and cut them and use needle nose pliers to hold them on certain angles to, you know, to get in other places, and do what you got to do. You know, there's no textbook to tell you how to build these planes. Everybody's got a different method and a different way, and that's good. I like it. I like that. You know, you might find one little point what I do helps you, and you might find the same on a few other videos, and then you get your question answered on, you know, on what you're going to do in your certain project, whatever. All right, hang on, I'll pause you. All right, I mixed up a little bigger batch this time. These lids here, right where these slotted lock mechanisms are, we'll put a little extra on there too. And, you know, if you paint it all over it too, it'll harden the whole wood piece. So that's not a bad idea either. Tomorrow is Sunday. The weather out here is, they're talking that it might get a little warmer. Today the high was like 37, and I was not going to go to the flying field in that. Sorry, it just wasn't gonna happen. I would imagine that there's some people out there that temperature right there is just so dang cold that, you know, in the sun it's probably okay, but it's just, you know, borderline being miserable. So that made it for a good day to stay here and work on these projects, you know. That might be one reason why hobby stores have these sales throughout the winter, because they know we need something to do to keep us keep us going in the wintertime, you know. Well, my big batch might be working against me here. Another cool way to put this epoxy, it's kind of a mess and a little difficult to get it going, but you can get syringes from your local drugstore, not with a needle, but just a syringe, you know, similar to a turkey baster or whatever, but small, a syringe, and mix the epoxy and then funnel it into the syringe. Getting the epoxy warm really helps in that situation. And then you got a little mini squirter. You can go down there and kind of just lay a little bead, like a caulk gun full of epoxy. Works out pretty good. I've done that. That's good when you're getting in tight little places and stuff. These little brushes here, you know, they're throwaway brushes of one-time use. I don't know how many comes in a bag, 50 or 100 for 98 cents at your Wally World. All right, I'll show you guys my little trick here. I cut these brushes and get into tight spots. There's a few I need to get to, so worked out good. So I just took these little disposable brushes and I cut them with a pair of scissors. Just like that, you can get into some spots that are be very careful. You can stick the back side of it through through something the wrong way. You know what I mean? You just want to be fairly careful there. So I took this battery tray out, and that exposed some more areas we're going to get. So that's good. All right, now I decided to use some 30-minute epoxy for some harder to reach spots. And I'm also going to strengthen up this battery tray a little bit. So I took the 4 screws out to hold the battery tray in, and let's throw those in our uproar kit. And there's some parts where you got to reach way back in there, and using that 5-minute stuff, it might dry a little quicker than I need to. So we'll use some of this 30 minute. So we have a little bit more time to reach back in there. All right. Did you guys see the other sale at Tower Hobbies right now? I saw the Aero Scout was less than $200 for a ready to fly. I mean, that'd be something to get just for the 631 receiver and a smart battery. You know, that's a fantastic deal. I think that's going through the end of today, maybe. Let's see if we can reach way back in there without making a mess. There we go. Way back in there. That's a pretty big structural piece. All right. Now, these little stir sticks that I use, that they're like coffee stirs you get from a gas station. The way this battery tray goes in there, these cutouts right here are for the Velcro to go underneath it. Well, you're going to be snugging pretty tight on the Velcro, and this plywood is thin, and I bet you could probably snap it if you want. So I'm just going to make a little reinforcement right here. Bottom. See how this goes right here. And it'll be a kind of a guide for the Velcro, or excuse me, the hook and loop. You gotta say things right now. Some people get all bent out of shape over it if you don't. I don't know how many messages I got when I referred to a adjustable wrench. I called it a crescent wrench. I got corrected about 7 times. I couldn't believe it. But so, adjustable wrenches. Kind of sliding it back and forth there. That way, making good contact. You know, and this is the 30-minute. So we have time to work. Alright, so this goes down like so. I'm making sure it's not going to hit anything down in there. And it is a little bit. So what I'm going to do is take this one off for the time being, and because I didn't think about that, I don't know what you call it, a brace or something down in there. Kind of needs to be notched a certain way. Well, so much for that idea. So you can see those big heavy duty cross braces right there, and you can see the holes. I don't want to lay it down and have one of our braces touching it. This one here, you can kind of see it like that. That's how it's going to go. The one in the back is going to be okay. The one in the front, the right, is going to be okay. And then that one right there, just got to go way to the sides of it. Let me do a little measuring right there, and I believe it's going to be okay. We're just going to go the outside of it. We're golden. We are golden. Worst case scenario, if we messed up and this dried, obviously you can't, break these little things off, but you could sand them off. It wouldn't take any time at all with piece of 80 grit sandpaper or something, or you know, a little sanding wheel on your Dremel or something. Okay, well, step one in the instruction manual is to run an iron over this covering here to tighten it up, and that'll help with holding the structure, plus that'll help get a little of your wrinkles out. We did the first step, which was my preference, and this is the first step in the directions, is to run over the fuselage with an iron. And this is an iron with a little sock on it. It says set it to about 375 degrees, and you're just going to let it glide over this film here. I don't know if you can see these wrinkles right in this area, but there is a couple. You don't press hard, and you don't leave it in the same spot for very long. And you can see where the wood and where there's, you know, nothing underneath it, or where there's wood. There's like a adhesion backing on that's heat activated. You're seeing the wrinkles there, they're kind of tightening up. And we won't keep working in that area, you know, work on this area. I'm just doing this area real quick to let you guys see it. Let's see, it starts pulling it away. It is a little bit. Alright, we're going to run over this whole thing.
All right, guys, the next step in the manual here is to hinge the ailerons to the wing. All right, like I talked about earlier, these hinges are made for CA glue, which this is thin CA. There's different thicknesses, and thin is the runniest, like water. Even though it's the medium bottle, I've got thin in it. These bottles wear out over time, and I just, you know, I dump this one in that one, whatever. But these hinges are kind of like a candle wick, and they soak in the glue and then penetrate to the wood. All right, what I did here for a demonstration is took 2 pieces of wood, and then I took a razor blade and very carefully cut some grooves in it to show you how it's going to work. And then the hinge goes into the wood, right, on both sides. The slot that the hinge goes in, you know, is just big enough for the hinge. All right, and then you will take your thin CA, have your rubbing alcohol ready, have your paper towels ready, because this stuff could glue your fingers closed. And you very carefully take the top off. It doesn't screw off, it kind of pops off, so you want to be careful that you don't. All right, that off. And then this is a mini funnel, I guess you can call it. But this is to apply the thin CA. And these are one-time uses. That way you can direct the glue exactly where you want it to go. Maybe to help us out here. And I'm going to demonstrate on these two pieces of wood and this hinge. So this is a demonstration like an aileron on a wing, all right? And then you're going to want to put some drops close to the you know, the aileron of the wing, and let it soak in. I'm trying to do this backwards. And just a drop or two. Then let it soak in. I'm going to grab my light. I don't know if this is going to hurt us or help us on this next go round. Alright, so then on this side, we're going to do some more drops. One. I can see this. I don't know if you guys can. So that was about 5 drops on each side. And that's it. Now it's, you know, picture a sponge getting wet and you can watch the water, you know, work its way through the sponge. That's what it's doing there. Then go to the other side. About 4 or 5 drops on each side or something. And then just like we talked about the water on the sponge, or, you know, you've seen it, and you can kind of watch the water creep on whatever it's going on here, just like this. See how it's working away? How it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger? That's what it's doing on that hinge. And the glue is going where it needs to go. Now it's going to make the hinge, you know, nearly rock hard. But don't move it for a second. Let the glue get in there, just like he was talking about. All right, now we'll set that aside real quick. Now, the same hinges are on here, and I put a little T-pin, they're called, in the center. All right. Now these are pre-slotted wings. All right. So I have them all in the wing. Then let's get the aileron, and this is just a little tough. You got to kind of. This is something you'll get good at, you know. Having this camera strapped to my head too doesn't make it any easier. All right, now it's on, and you want to get everything as straight as you can. So you want to get the aileron and the wing to be straight across, you know, level, okay? Then you want to get your hinges straight, and that's where you got to kind of look at it or use another needle to help move them around a little bit. You know, and this will take some playing with. You can't glue one side and then the other, so don't try that. Kind of get a feel where the slot is, and if they're a little crooked, you're okay. But you want to try to get them as straight as you can. can put 2 pins in there if you need to, if that'll help you, but every pin you put in there is going to put a little hole that'll kind of take away from the strength. And you can tell I'm not talking, I'm getting a little frustrated. All right, so now we got them fairly straight. This one here is bothering me just a little bit. All right, they're straight. Now you want to push it, you want to close it up until the pin is what's holding the gap. All right, and it won't be perfect, you know, this is wood you're working with, it's not steel that was, or metal that was done on a fancy machine. All right, then you want to hinge it back and forth to make sure that it will work. Make sure everything's straight. And then we'll do a little test run here to make sure our glue is coming out still, that we didn't glue the tip shut, you know. I'm gonna do two of these with the light off, and then some with the light on, and see if we can, if that will help or not. No, we'll do that. And then we'll pull the pin out and do the other side of it there. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, so then we'll see. So I'm gonna do the left side of this, the left side of the pin. Maybe you guys can see it get darker. Can you see the white hinge turning a different color because it got wet with the glue? Make sure we can get it. I don't know if you guys can see that. I sure hope you can. And then I'm going to gently pull the pins out. Maybe kind of twist them back and forth, you know. And then do the side where the pin was at. If this is your first time ever seeing this, you're probably thinking, how in the world is that going to work? And that is exactly what I thought the first time I got into this. How in the world is that going to work? Well, then we got to flip it over and do this other side. Now you say, how in the world is it going to work? Remember our wood we glued here? Probably been a couple minutes. I don't want to. I don't want to knock anything over. That's how it works, guys. Is that something? That's how it works. Then the other side here, I'm using 2 hands, to be a little more steady. Look here real quick. See how this edge is not lined up? Oh my goodness, did we make a mistake? No, the fuselage is over here, so that's why the gap. So you want to line up the far edge. You can kind of tell when they're full, when they won't soak up anymore. This is all just, you got to get a feel for it, and you got to do it. And I would recommend doing your first one just like we did right here before you glue your very first wing. That way you can just get an idea how it comes out, you know, how fast it comes out, how hard you need to squeeze, and all that stuff. And then we'll let that dry for a minute, and then we'll flex it back and forth, just like we did with our test piece here. But how about that? I promise you guys, I'm pulling as hard as I can right now, and can't pull that apart. You know, I could probably go like this and break it out, probably break the wood, but pulling directly on it, I can't. That's how tough this is. Now, I don't know what this material is. It's some kind of a, it says install with thin CA, which the spelling is CYANO CRYL8, I don't know, cyanylate adhesive, whatever that is. I need my glasses. Doesn't say what's this stuff made out of. It kind of feels like a fabric of some sort. I don't know, almost like a real thin layer of fiberglass, and that might be what it is, something like that. All right, well, we're not going to pull on these because we will break this, but we're just going to flex it back and forth to make sure it's got room to work. We'll let it sit another minute. I'm going to put a little bit more on each of them. When it's tired of soaking it up, you can tell. And then every time you add more glue to it, it's, you know, it might be loosening up the previous glue. It makes sense, you know. It was drying, and then you add more liquid to it. So, you know, right now is the time to definitely not pull on it. My very, very, very first hinge I ever glued, I did not watch YouTube to figure out how to do it. I was just reading the directions, and it just didn't make sense to me. And I glued my fingers closed for a long time. I basically squeezed the glue into the wood, and then I grabbed the hinge and I was sticking it in there. Oh, it was a mess, man. What I started YouTubing was how to unstick my fingers, and it was vegetable oil and I think vinegar, and I just kind of just massaged it on there. I mean, don't get in any hurry, because you're going to take a layer of skin off. And I just slowly worked it and worked it and worked it, and eventually it all came loose. All right, well, there's one wing. Let's do the other one. Hang tight. All right, we'll get this other wing out of the bag. I put it back in the bag to protect it, and we'll do that again as well. So this one was missing a hinge. It's possible it's not missing. It's possible it fell in. So we'll get our pins here. This one will go a whole lot faster. You can tell that the slot they cut is only big enough for these hinges. That's why when the wicking part, you know, when they start to get wet, they're definitely it's gonna get to the wood, put it that way. The slots I've had to make before, I've done it with an X-Acto knife, but there's some kind of a tool out there I've seen it, a slotting machine. I don't build these planes from scratch, so I have no need for that really, but there's some kind of device that, you know, you squeeze the handle or something, you might put it up against it, you know, and then you might pull the trigger and something like that. Try to get these as straight as I can. Let's start over here, huh? Get an idea where our slots are on all of them. That light that I wear on my head really comes in handy, but I think it's blinding the camera. That definitely helps me work. So I'm struggling a little bit right now for you. Maybe we should have put both of them, or two pins in there rather. Well, I almost messed up. Went through it right there. All right. We didn't fight it for too long. All right, we're getting this side lined up. All right, the non-pin side first. Yep. You can tell this is precise work, so I'm not saying much. You get some CA on your covering right here, you got to be real fast to wipe it off with the alcohol. It can be done, but you got to be quick. Got to be quick. All right, we'll pull our pins out and get the other side of the hinge. See, well, let me get my light on here, just in case it does help for you guys to see as well. Doing white on white makes it a little more tough, you know. If these wings weren't white, you'd have a little something better to aim for. Alrighty. this way. And I'm squeezing a good little bit on it. You know, it says 5 or 6 drops. Put however many it takes. And up close and personal, you can see it soaking into this to the hinges, and you can tell, you know, how much it'll take. If you put drops on there and it, you know, the drops aren't running off, or it doesn't look, you know, real saturated, it can take more. That means it's doing this number right here. That's running, but you see how it's getting bigger? That's what it's doing in those hinges. It's going places. So if it'll take more, give us some more. Just like we talked about before, more glue is better than not enough glue. And we'll do the other side. We'll just check it. The covering is not in the way as much on this side as it is on the other side. All right. Hey guys, I can't thank you enough for subscribing and liking and all that stuff. That's what makes this this YouTube thing work. I'm doing this to kind of give back. When I got into this hobby real heavy, I'd say YouTube was a 90% on how I learned what to do, and I want to give back. You know, the videos that I watched that helped me do something, I'm sure they're still there, but just in case somebody doesn't click on it because it's, you know, many years old, you know, I'll have a fresh one. So if I can teach somebody how to do something, or just help them out a little bit, then that's me saying thanks for me using YouTube to learn. And like I said before, if for some reason that this channel turns into something big and we're giving away airplanes and this and that, I will never ever forget the guys right now, the first few. That's a fact. So once again, thank you. All right, we got our fuselage double glued and tightened up. We got our wings and ailerons glued. The next step is to put the vertical and horizontal stabilizer on the back of the fuselage and glue it on. We don't connect the and we don't glue the hinges until we have the horizontal and vertical stabilizers glued, and then we'll glue on the control surfaces like we did here. That's the word I was looking for, control surface. All right, guys, that's the end of this one. Until next time, you'll see me here. Thank you.